In 2022, approximately 21%, or 5.5 million Australians, had at least one disability. This is an increase from approximately 18% in 2018. The rate of disability was similar for males and females. "15% of Australians under 65 years old had disability. This increased to around 52% of people aged 65 years and over. In 2022, approximately 8% of Australians had a profound or severe disability. That is, they needed the greatest amount of help with core activities, such as moving around, self-care, and communication. In 2022, approximately 97% of people with disability were living in households, such as private homes and self-care units in retirement villages. Approximately 3% of people with disability were living in cared accommodation, such as hospitals, nursing homes, and aged care hostels. In 2022, just over 45% of people with disability who were 15 years or older and living in households had completed Year 12 or an equal level of education. This is up from approximately 33% in 2018. Of those people with disability who were 15 years or older living in households, almost 64% said they were satisfied all or most of the time with how often they took part in social activities in the last 3 months. In 2022, approximately 17% of Australians were aged 65 years and over, up from about 16% in 2018. More than half, or approximately 52% of older Australians, had disability, up from around 50% in 2018. Almost 87% of older Australians had at least one long-term health condition. In 2022, almost 96% of older Australians were living in households, such as private homes and self-care units in retirement villages. Approximately 4% of older Australians were living in cared accommodation, such as hospitals, nursing homes, and aged care hostels. Of those living in households, almost 40% needed some support with everyday activities. Approximately 78% of older Australians living in households said they were satisfied all or most of the time with how often they took part in social activities in the last 3 months. "3 million people, or about 12% of Australians, were providing unpaid care to someone with disability or someone 65 years or older, up from 2.6 million in 2018. Females were more likely to be carers. Approximately 13% of females were carers, compared to around 11% of males. Approximately 391,000 carers were under the age of 25, up from around 235,000 in 2018. There were 1.2 million people who were primary carers in 2022. A primary carer is the main person providing unpaid care for someone with disability or someone 65 years or older. Almost 44% of primary carers had disability themselves. In 2022, the most common reason people gave for becoming a primary carer was they felt responsible for their family. This was almost 65% of all primary carers. Around 72% of primary carers saw family and friends who were not living in the same household at least once a week in 2022. The survey of disability, ageing, and carers has more important insights into the lives of people with disability, older people, and carers. For more information, go to www.abs.gov.au.